Now to discuss it all, I want to bring in my political panel. Camilla DeChalis is the senior politics reporter for Business Insider. Rena Shaw is a senior advisor for Republican Women for Progress. And Democratic strategist Wendy Osefo is an education professor at Johns Hopkins University, and she's a doctor. So Dr. Wendy, we are going to start with you. Okay, let's just talk about it. This is a big thing on deal. It is a big deal.
This is huge, and I don't think people understand how big this is. And I would say that this is a big win, especially going into Wisconsin and those primaries.
That'll happen on Tuesday.
That's happening on Tuesday. And I want people to underscore the importance of what this package entails. And one of those things for me that's personal, because I have family that have needs, is that of prescription drug costs. The ability to be able to negotiate the prices of prescription drug costs. Like, that is a game changer. And while we know that this may not be something that happens tomorrow, next month, is going to take time, but just the perspective of people's lives changing in ways that the American people have been wanting for so long, this is monumental.
I think the point that you make about that this is going to take time, I worked in the administration, and when we first came in, we talked about the ARP, American Rescue Plan, immediate relief.
Yes.
And then this Build Back Better package, this is like Build Back Better Light that just got passed in the Senate today, was some long-term relief for the American people that they might not see immediately, but it's going to make a difference over time. Part of that, Wendy just talked about prescription drugs, insulin caps. Right. Every Republican in the United States Senate today voted no on capping insulin for seniors at $35. Is that going to make them vulnerable in November, Rena?
Absolutely. If it's messaged right, that's the whole name of the game here.
They just need to say what I just said.
Right on. Because you make it plain and simple that this is about life-saving medication. This is about the basic needs of American people, and they're not being met. So what are these senators doing for us? What are they doing for the average American's plight? If you are a person that feels like the senators in the U.S. Senate are doing nothing for you, you are taking a look at this bill and you're saying it is something. It started somewhere. I've talked many times on this show about being from West Virginia. Senator Joe Manchin, who I've known for 2 decades now. This is a mix up for me because he's a guy about legacy, but he's also about power. Let's be serious. This is a guy who he's a contrarian because he likes being a contrarian, but he also wanted to get something done for the constituency. Poor people needed this bill. Okay,
Not just in West Virginia, across the country. I think it's safe to say. Look, a lot of people are talking about the primaries. Okay, Camilla, there are, as Wendy said, at least a key primary coming up this Tuesday, particularly talking about Wisconsin. How do you think this bill is going to play, not just in Wisconsin this Tuesday, but I'm looking long-term down, less than 90 days to Election Day?
This is going to really impact the Wisconsin primaries. You have Mandela Barnes that's facing the incumbent Republican Ron Johnson, and he can take back and look at what Senate Democrats really did by passing this bill and say, there's more to come if you elect me into office and we get Ron Johnson out of office. You've heard him say that he wants to push codifying more rights for women when it has access to health care because of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. He wants to push more things about health care, about access to abortions. And so he can look and turn to this bill and say, this is what Senate Democrats have done, and I want to contribute to making these changes, to helping Americans, not just in Wisconsin, but across the country, make more decisions in order to better their lives.
Ron Johnson, current Republican senator in Wisconsin, do you think he's gone giving your reporting too far right for the voters? He is one of the Republicans that voted against the insulin cap today.
There is a lot of backlash, not just for his opposition to this bill and the things and the amendments in it, but also to the part he's played in other things. You have the January 6th hearings that took center stage in July.
Very sketchy, honey. Very sketchy.
The part he played in the fake scheme of electors being sent, and even just him pushing these theories about, fake pro-Trump supporters being the reason why there's an insurrection. So he's going to have to respond and, really respond to all this criticism against him. And that's going to be a major factor in this upcoming primaries.
So there's a lot happening in the primaries, right? This bill, a very big deal. We're going to talk about it. Abortion, okay, women's ability to have control over the decisions about her own body, also very big. The Democratic Congressional Committee is out today with a new memo, honey. And let me just tell you, the memo found, and I'm going to just read it for you. It found abortion to be a mobilizing issue in Kansas, which had an election last week, which voted to keep abortion rights. Wendy, what does that indicate to you?
It indicates that, of course, my people, the Democrats, are on the right side of history. right? But I also think that it's a bigger conversation because if we're looking at the primaries and what's happening in Wisconsin or what happened in Arizona or Michigan, we see a lot of the Trump-backed candidates are sweeping and they're winning, right? So now as we look at Wisconsin, the question then becomes, what's going to happen? Is this conversation going to change? Because we know that Trump and the people who align with his ideologies do not believe in women's reproductive rights. They do not believe that women should have autonomy over their bodies. They believe that government should. So now the Democrats putting out this memo, it continues to expand on their position and it continues to expand on what they're trying to push forth for not just the primaries, but also for the midterms and the subsequent
I want
elections.
to play a little clip because South Carolina Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace was on with Chuck Todd today on Meet the Press, and this is what she told him. Take a listen.
Well, I'm staunchly pro-life. I have a 100% pro-life voting record. I do think that it will be an issue in November if we're not moderating ourselves, that we are including exceptions for women who've been raped, for girls who are victims of incest, and certainly in every instance where the life of the mother is at stake.
Rena, do you hear that? That's Nancy Mace, honey. Do you think the conversation around women's ability to have control of decisions about their body will overshadow the conversation about the economy come November?
No, I don't actually.
I
think it's the economy. I think it's the economy. I think when people find it hard, I have 3 children. I mean, that's a lot of children.
Yes,
I never saw myself as a mother of 3.
I have 3.
That's wonderful. But you know,
I got a lot of kids.
Store, right? Like when you have this many kids and you're like, okay, I want to have them have the life that I had in the 80s and 90s. And then you're looking at the price of things and you're adding it up and you're like, this doesn't feel right. And look, I don't think you need to be a political person to feel that way. You just need to be somebody who's like, this feels wrong. So who's working on that? And it almost felt like for the past 3 months, if I could just be honest, it didn't feel like this administration had the torch. It didn't feel like this administration was doing the darn thing, which was to speak plainly, clearly, and directly to the American public about what they could do to fix it. So today is so massive, not just because it is a pivotal day legislatively for a president that sits right below 40% of approval rating, right? But to me, that doesn't matter because polls have always been wrong.
Yeah,
we all know this,
the polls
right?
change, the polls change, but you're saying it's the economy.
I'm saying it's the economy
All
because
right.
gridlock and discontent, that's one thing. To feel like the senators on Capitol Hill made it today, pushed past that. But look, what happened in Kansas, and I say this to Democrats with caution because I crossed party lines to vote for Democrats in the last midterm election and the last presidential. I'll say, don't get too excited about Kansas.
Oh, all right,
That
Rena.
is not everything. I'm telling
Rena
you.
Shaw has a message, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have to leave it there. She got the last word. Camilla, Rena, Dr. Wendy, thank y'all very much for coming on set, honey. We appreciate it.